Welcome, Ranger Nation. Welcome back to another review of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Episode 8. The Cybergate opens. This episode's stupid! Let's start with Ben and Betty. Yeah, because that's who you want to see starting an episode of Beast Morphers. The comic relief. You're probably all wondering why I just broke a collector's item. Well, I'll tell you why here in just a minute. Hang with me. Please, hang with me. I'm struggling to get through this one. Ben and Betty are walking through Grid Battle Force when they come across Nate, the Grid Battle Force scientist who created the Beast Morphers. He's trying to get a soft serve from one of the Grid Battle Force vending machines. Well, it's broken, so Betty tries to fix it and instead gets soft serve ice cream all over her head and face. Of course, it doesn't look like ice cream in any way, shape, or form. It looks more like slime from Ghostbusters 2. Cut to the cyber dimension with Scrozzle, Blaze, and Roxy hatching a plan to kidnap Nate so he can build them a super robot to house Evox's data. Because no robots that Scrozzle can make can house Evox's data because he has so much data, apparently. Well, cut back to Grid Battle Force. Nate is working on new weapons. Not new weapons for the Beast Morpher Rangers that we know now, weapons for Rangers that we haven't seen yet, at least not in Beast Morphers. He then decides to go out to the field to collect more data, specifically data on insects. Because of Grid Battle Force's policy, Nate cannot be alone without an escort away from Grid Battle Force. So the Rangers decide to go with him. As he is studying DNA of insects, Zoe, the Yellow Ranger, suggests a spider or an arachnid and is holding one of the ugliest looking little spiders in her hand I've ever seen. Good on her if it really was her hand that was holding it, because her head was out of frame when she showed the spider, so it was probably just a handler of some kind holding the spider, because I know I wouldn't touch the damn thing. And Nate wouldn't either. He exclaims that he likes insects and he has a love for all animals, but spiders is where he crosses the line. Spiders is where he puts his foot down, and I agree. I like a lot of insects and whatnot, but I hate spiders. So he proceeds to collect the DNA of 2 insects. One being a scarab beetle. Okay. But not before he collects the DNA of a praying mantis. It's coming, don't worry. The Rangers get a call that one of Scrozzle's robots is attacking the city, sucking up Morphex energy. So the Rangers are called away, leaving Nate in the field by himself. Of course, perfect timing, because this is the episode where Blaze and Roxy and Scrozzle want to kidnap Nate. So, of course, it's going to be written into the episode to where they purposely leave him on his own. Nate finishes collecting his DNA, but not before being kidnapped by Blaze and Roxy. Of course. He is taken to a warehouse where Scrozzle is building his Cybergate to release Evox into our dimension. Of course, he needs Nate to build a robot to house Evox's data. Nate, of course, is unwilling to help them because, of course, he's a good guy. He's part of Grid Battle Force. But then when he sees that Scrozzle has stolen many of the Grid Battle Force tech from his own lab, he decides to hatch a plan to pretend to help Blaze, Roxy, and Scrozzle while simultaneously creating 2 new Power Rangers. One being himself, which I knew. Anyone who has seen my video on the Gold Ranger casting announcement, you know that the same actor who plays Nate was set to play the Gold Ranger. And that's fine. I have no problem with him whatsoever. I have no problem with the actor playing him. It's fine. He seems to fit, because in Tokume Sentai Go Busters, the Japanese version of this series, the Gold Ranger was the engineer who created the Go Busters, the Power Ranger Beast Morphers, if you will, and all of the tech that they use, including the Zords. So again, description matches. Just instead of being a full-grown man, he's just a child prodigy, a teenage prodigy scientist. Well, as the Rangers are dealing with said robot, Nate decides to foil Blaze, Roxy, and Scrozzle's plans by blasting the Cybergate, causing Evox to get sucked right back in to the cyber dimension. And as he does this, causes an explosion which knocks Blaze and Roxy back. Nate then runs up to the Cybergate where his newly built robot is standing, which was to house Evox's data. He blasts the Morphex containers to release them, and all of a sudden, he stands in front of his robot, and his DNA is combined, and he becomes the Gold Ranger. Well, again, not a problem. I knew he was the Gold Ranger. The problem is, everyone, here's the problem. His DNA was combined with that of a mantis. The Gold Ranger, or Beat Buster, is not a praying mantis. He is a beetle, a scarab beetle, which he collected the data of. But no, the Gold Ranger's not a scarab beetle. He's a praying mantis. Who's the scarab beetle? His robot, again, which I knew would also be the Silver Ranger. I knew that would happen. But the fact of the matter is, the Gold Ranger is not a praying mantis, and the Silver Ranger is not a scarab beetle. The Gold Ranger is to be the scarab beetle, and the Silver Ranger is a stag beetle. They're both beetle rangers. Why did Hasbro change it? Beats the hell out of me. I am so angry and confused right now. The one Ranger in this series, I didn't want them to screw up. One of my favorite Power Rangers. They managed to screw up. I was wondering when Hasbro was going to make their first big mistake with Power Rangers Beast Morphers. I already, have a couple of annoyances when it comes to Ben and Betty. Because, comic relief duos, we don't need them in Power Rangers series. If you have Rangers that are naturally funny in and of themselves, you give them some funny dialogue every now and again. You don't need a comic relief duo. You just don't. Number 2 is the Red Ranger Devon having a Cheetah Blaster to power up a sword finishing attack for the Megazord. I hate that. I'm not the only one who hates that. Read some of my recent comments in last videos. You'll realize that there are several people out there who they don't like the whole Cheetah blaster powering up a sword. It's stupid. But even that stuff I could have ignored. I could have just put that on the back burner and tried to enjoy the series for what it was, because at least they had kept, the the main focus there. That they kept the main storyline there, to where the Red Ranger's a cheetah, the Blue Ranger's a gorilla, the Yellow Ranger's a rabbit. Their buddy roids, their beast bots, those were all accurate. Those were all good and fine. But then the one Ranger I did not want them to mess up, the one Ranger I was looking forward to seeing most out of this series, they screwed up. I cannot believe this. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I'm going to continue to watch the series, of course, yeah. But I'm going to be heckling the Gold Ranger being a praying mantis for the rest of this series, for the rest of my reviews, because that's just not what it was. He is a scarab beetle. The Silver Ranger is a stag beetle. That's what they are. And I'm going to continue watching Power Rangers Beast Morphers as if they didn't change anything. Anytime I hear the word mantis, I'm just going to ignore it. How are they going to explain his Zord? His Zord looks nothing like a praying mantis. It's a beetle. Both his Zord and the Silver Ranger Zord are beetles. How can you get this mixed up whatsoever? Why a praying mantis? That's a good question. That's my question. A praying mantis. Has anyone ever seen a gold praying mantis before? I mean, yeah, granted, no one's ever seen a blue gorilla or a red cheetah. The color really doesn't have a whole lot to do with it, no. But just the fact that you change the animal insect entirely. You didn't just change it a little bit, you change it entirely. Did Hasbro think that we couldn't handle another pair of bug rangers that were both beetles, like Kabuto Ranger or Kawaga Ranger, the Go Rangers from Hurricaneger / the Thunder Rangers from Power Rangers Ninja Storm? They were both beetle rangers. Did everyone think that we just weren't going to care or notice if we just figured that since we already had one pair of beetle rangers, we don't need another pair of beetle rangers? I don't know what their reasoning was for changing the Gold Ranger from a scarab beetle to a praying mantis is. I don't know what the reason is. I'd love to know. I really would love to know. But they're never, ever going to give us an answer, more than likely. They're never going to even mention it whatsoever. But back to the episode, because that's what you guys were here for, right? Not to see me get pissed off and rant about something. I don't call it being pissed. I call it having passion for the things you love. Anyway, after Nate morphs into the Gold Ranger, big surprise, the Silver Ranger is also there. The robot morphs into the Silver Ranger and all of a sudden has a really in-depth personality for some reason and a very, go-to attitude. Really, almost borderline obnoxious, I'll go ahead and say. But in any case, Blaze and Roxy obviously don't like what's just transpired. They transform into their evil avatar forms and proceed to battle the new Gold and Silver Ranger, which, of course, they lose terribly. They get their butts beat as the Rangers are trying to deal with the Vacuutron, or whatever the hell they called it in this episode. The robot that was sucking all of the energy, all of Morph X from the city. The Gold and Silver Rangers show up to help the remaining 3 Beast Morpher Rangers. Nate reveals that it is him. And no time for introductions for the Silver Ranger because we've got a monster defeat. So the Gold Ranger and Silver Ranger keep the Vacuutron, I want to say that's its name, whatever, and the Tronics busy, while the other 3 Rangers take care of the Gigadrone that Scrozzle sent to squash the Rangers because Blaze and Roxy can't deal with anything on their own, and Scrozzle had to bail them out once again. They, of course, defeat their respective robots. I'm not going to spoil anything more than that. Watch the episode for yourself. And at the very end, we have Blaze and Roxy and Scrozzle apologizing to Evox once again begging him not to destroy them, and Scrozzle swears he will fix the Cybergate, and Evox and Blaze and Roxy will once again try to kidnap, basically get the Silver Ranger back for Evox to use as his permanent robot body to house his data. Good luck with that. So obviously that's going to be the focus point of the next couple to few episodes, is Blaze and Roxy trying to get the Silver Ranger back for Evox. And it cuts back to Grid Battle Force, where Nate is proud to say that apparently he didn't know if it would work or not either, but he combined not only the Scarab Beetle DNA with the robot he built, but also some of his own DNA. So that technically makes the robot part human, part Scarab Beetle, and part robot. Whatever. But now apparently Nate has the brother he always wanted. It's a robot. But okay, again, I knew this was coming based off of the last episode, A Friend Indeed, where the Rangers were all taking their beast bots for granted, and Nate explicitly said that he wishes he had a beast bot, someone to treat him like a brother. Well, now he's got one. And we now know that the robot's name is going to be Steel. Steel. Let's hope DC doesn't have a problem with that name. And that's it. That was episode 8 of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. The Cybergate opens. And it was closed just as quickly. Do me a favor, Ranger Nation. Let me know what you think of this episode in the comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts on the Gold Ranger being a praying mantis instead of a Scarab Beetle like he was supposed to be. Let me know if you like it, if you hate it, or if you're just plain not going to watch anymore. Unfortunately, I'm going to. I have to, because it's my duty to bring you the good and the bad of Power Rangers. So until next time, I'm Paul. This was Rangers Ready Go. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. You all know the deal. And I'll see you all on the next review.